A very good morning to one and all. I welcome you back to the lecture 24th on the course for heat transfer for chemical engineers targeted towards gate preparation. In this lecture, we will be continuing with the evaporators topic, and today we will be solving some numericals and also learning some mathematical terms and some more concepts regarding the evaporators. In the last class, we discussed about uh, the different types of evaporators, their applications in various industries, and we also learned about the advantages and disadvantages of each of those evaporators. I hope those topics are clear to everyone. If not, then you may always feel free to ask queries about it. Alright, so today just simply revising what all things we learned. We learned that evaporators are classified into four major types, like the rising film, and they were based on the films how they are. So we had a horizontal film, we had a falling film, we had a rising film. Apart from that, we can also classify them based on the types of tubes. Alright, and today I will try to give you a very brief overview of yesterday's class in short. So basically we can classify them on the types of tubes. So if they are having longer tubes, then long tubes. If they are having then short tubes, then short tubes. So we can have long tubes and short tubes type. In the long, then we can have uh, based on the films. So we can have something like rising film, falling film, we can have agitated film. Then we can then also classify them based on whether it's gravity driven or some pumps are used. So we can have natural, where gravity is the main thing, and it's del rho, density difference, times gravity, that is the driving force for the flow of fluids. Or we have forced convection, wherein we are using pumps. We have seen such things. The only reason that I want to emphasize on these types is because they can give you another insight or overview of the things, and will help you in answering MCQs in your placement tests. Alright, let me now quickly draw a evaporator. So a evaporator looks like this, and try to name them. Okay. Right. So we this is a diagram for evaporator, and yeah, you will be getting, oops, So we feed the steam on the tube side, and we get the condensate out from here. I need to draw one more arrow for the feed. We have the feed over here, and we get the concentrated and the vapors out. So we have, this is steam in, this is condensate out, this is feed in, this is concentrate out, and these are the vapor out. All right. So basically these are the particular streams that are coming in and coming out. Why I am drawing this diagram is because we will be doing some numericals today. We will be understanding how to do the process calculations for evaporator, across a evaporator, and we'll have to do mass balance and energy balance. For that we should know to identify the streams. So that's the only reason that that why we have drew this diagram. Now let's start with some of the important key terminologies regarding evaporators. And the first terminology that I want to discuss here is called as steam economy. Alright, so steam economy is defined as your amount of water evaporated divided by mass of steam supply. Alright, so this is basically a ratio of how much kgs of water is being evaporated by per kg of steam. Alright, so this particular steam economy, you can always think of it like an efficiency factor, and this is always less than or equal to 1. This is always less than 1, and this is approximately 0.8 to 0.9 for a case of single effect evaporator. And in every evaporator we try to see what is its steam economy. So this is the first thing. The second concept that we need to see in every evaporator, or we kind of quantify an evaporator, is by its capacity. So what do I mean by capacity is that what is the mass of vapor evaporated per time, and ideally this has to be in hours. I mean in the industry it's a common practice to note down the capacity in hours, so you can have it like you can say something like a capacitor of capacity 1000 kg per hour, meaning that sorry, a evaporator of capacity 1000 kg per hour, meaning that it can evaporate 1000 kgs of water per hour. Alright, and then they this shows its capacity. Then they ask for its economy, like to evaporate 1000 kgs of water, how much kg of steam will it require? So they will say what is its economy, 0.8, meaning then 1000 over 0.8 would be the amount of steam that it would be taking. Alright, so these are the basic two terminologies that are used to use in any sort of calculation related to evaporators. Are the two concepts clear, guys? A quick raise of hands. Okay, great. So alright, now let's try to before moving forward, let's try to understand why the economy, steam economy is not one. All right, there are three main reasons for it. All right, first one will be the feed is not always at the boiling temperature. So let's say you need to evaporate or you need to concentrate a fruit juice from 4% to 40%, something like that, and your fruit juice is fed at 25 degrees Celsius, and your boiling point will be essentially in the range of 100 degrees Celsius, like 100 or 105, something like that. So your first step towards evaporation will be to heat it, and the steam heat will be utilized in heating it, so that will essentially decrease the amount of water evaporated, and that again affects in decreasing the value of steam economy, and this is one reason. Second reason, which can be which you guys can easily spot out, is the heat losses. There would be some heat losses to in the environment. There would be some heat losses by this particular steam in heating of the equipment. So heat losses. Second is this. The third one is the lambda Fg, or we call it as the latent heat of vaporization. This term decreases with increase in temperature. Alright, the latent heat of vaporization decreases with increase in temperature. Now you will ask me, sir, ये latent heat of vaporization का क्या लेना देना है इधर? So the idea is, what we have discussed is that in the evaporator, the steam will just get condensed. It will not be changing its temperature, it will just get condensed from vapor to liquid. So what we have is saturated steam. So this is saturated steam, and what we are getting out is condensate or the condensed steam. So the only amount of heat that it can exchange is the latent heat. So it can only exchange the latent heat. Now let's say I need to boil something at 100 degrees Celsius or 115 degrees Celsius, 100 degrees Celsius. So I need to give a temperature on this temperature greater than 100 degrees Celsius. Obviously I cannot heat it using a steam which is at say 50 degrees Celsius, or a way lesser temperature than the temperature at which I need to boil the solution, right? So I need to have some temperatures fixed. Let's say tomorrow it's not water, it's some different solvent based thing, and now its boiling point is say 120 degrees Celsius. You will have to use steam of temperature higher than 120 degrees Celsius, and now as your temperature is increasing, right, the latent heat that can be exchanged gets decreased. Let me just quickly plug in the numbers over here. So alright, is the screen visible, guys? Just a moment, let me just pull up the chart. Alright, so I have pulled up a steam table from a standard textbook. Alright, there are basically three types of table available. First one is a saturated steam table by temperature. The second table is saturated steam by pressure, and the third one will be superheated steam table. All the tables, so basically we'll be referring to the second table, the table that talks about saturated steam by pressure. So idea is I'm now changing the pressure of the steam, so corresponding to that pressure for the saturated steam, what will be the temperature? Alright, now for this steam various properties are always given to you. So the properties that are given are the specific volume of water at that temperature and pressure, and steam at that temperature and pressure. then the internal energies of water and steam at that particular temperature pressure, and then specific enthalpies are given. All right, now there are three specific enthalpies under our study. First one is the specific enthalpy of saturated water. All right, so this is the energy required to heat the water from 0 degree Celsius to the boiling point. All right, now the second energy that we try to that we require is a latent heat of evaporation. So the process is something like this. I'm just trying to have, so we have water, we try to heat it from water. So basically this 100 degrees Celsius is water at the boiling point. With the change in pressure, the boiling point has to change, that's why. And then now I have water at boiling point, so now I add, so this particular is the HF. All right, now I try to add HFG, or I prefer calling it as lambda Fg, or someone can call it simply lambda. Now when I give that, this is particularly the latent heat. Now when I give the latent heat, it will now be converted to saturated steam. There will be a phase change from liquid to vapors, and then if at all I am going to some what I can say higher temperatures, maybe let's take an example of 105 degrees Celsius, something like that. Let's say we want to heat it to 105 degrees Celsius. Now I have made the steam at 105 degree 105 oh, it's not 105 Celsius. Now I need to heat it to say some other value. So now I will be giving Cp delta T to it, and I will be getting superheated steam. Alright, so these are all the energies that are there. So in some applications in your future you might be using superheated steams. So though for calculating that, what you will do is, first that steam will give away Cp delta T, then it will give the lambda Fg value, then HF value. Now in the steam table, in the specific enthalpy column, alright, so let me just draw it over here. You have pressure, you have temperature, you have the specific volumes, I guess one or two of them, you have some values related to U. What we are interested in is getting out the value of H in this particular case. So let me just go to the H column. In the H there will be three values of interest: HF, HFG and Hg. Hg is the enthalpy of your steam. HFG is basically the lambda value that we will be using. So our target is to know this particular value, and as the temperature is increasing, this value is decreasing. Alright, so let's say for a particular application we need steam at 125 degrees Celsius, and I am getting some HFG1, and here I am going for 130 degrees Celsius, I am getting HFG2. So here meaning is HFG1 has to be greater than HFG2, something like that. I hope the point is very much clear to all, and we can now simply go back to our steam table and you can observe it. There, here they have directly given you the values in the specific order that I had mentioned. In this value is your H lambda, sorry, HF. Your this is the HFG value, and the last one is the HG value. All right, the third one, I think it's getting ahead. I can't. Yes, the last column, the steam value over here is the HG value. All right, so and now you can see how these values are decreasing as the temperature is increasing. We can further go ahead and see it. Even in this particular case, we'll be using this particular table, all right, where pressure is varied, and we know the pressure of the steam, and then we find out its temperature and the H lambda value. We'll be doing that exercise today anyways. All right, moving forward. So this was all about the steam economy and the capacity. One more problem that one needs to overcome is the concept of boiling point elevation. Sorry, or we would like to call it as BPE. So we all know, as the concentration of the solute in the solvent increases, or as the mole fraction of the solute in the solvent increases, the boiling point increases. We have all learned this, and boiling point elevation, depression in the freezing point, you all must have learned it in your thermodynamics, and this will be the case in while going for a evaporation thing. So if I am concentrating some feed of 4% concentration to 40% concentration, obviously the boiling point is going to increase. Now how to accommodate that, or how to find out the boiling point of a solution of given concentration? So for this particular thing, scientist During studied it, and what he said is, and what he proposed or what he gave to us is this nice sort of graph. All right, so the graph looks something like this. Actually I have to draw it on we should have equal axes, lengths of axis for this graph. So if I have this length over here, I need to have another equal. Alright, so I have boiling point of water on the x-axis in degree Celsius or Kelvin, whichever is okay with you, and I will have the boiling point elevation over here. Boiling point elevation basically will be your T boiling plus the BP, how much it has increased. So let's say this is the value of 100, this is 100, and water is boiling at 100 degrees Celsius. When it will be having 0% concentration of any solute in it, alright, it will be boiling at 100 degrees Celsius. Now I try to increase, now I try to put some salt in it, its boiling point will go up. So this 100 is now say 101 or 102, something like that. Now I further increase it, oops, not a curved line, it's a straight line. Something like that. So maybe this is the graph for 0% solute, say 5%, 10%, and this is saturated. You cannot add a solvent, you cannot add a particular solute to a solvent above a limit, right? So that top line refers to that. So idea is, let's say for 0% it was 100 degrees Celsius. Maybe when I went to 10 degrees Celsius, 10% of the salt, alright, the temperature now became say 105 degrees Celsius, something like that. So he gave a graph, he plotted graphs for it. It was the scientist During who did it. Alright, is this thing clear? A simple raise of hand please. if boiling point elevation, and why does it come into picture, and how we can accommodate it. How to accommodate it in calculations, we'll be seeing it. All right. Okay, great. So now let's do a short numerical. All right. Understanding how we design a evaporator. All right. So I have it's a problem. Okay. So let's say I need to concentrate a salt from 10% to 40% at the rate of, let me put some good numbers, 2000 kg per hour, and the feed is at what is the normal temperature? It's showing 28 in my locality, so let me put it to be 30 degrees Celsius. All right. I'm trying to take some realistic cases. So you have some salt solution, you prepared it in some process just before, and now you need to concentrate it. So that was done at room temperature, so around 30 degrees Celsius. Now you need to evaporate it. All right. And you would be doing it at, say, pressure of 32.4 kPa. All right. So 32.4 kPa is the pressure of the evaporator, I mean the chest of the evaporator, wherein this particular fluid is stored. All right. So you will be having some fluid stored here, right? So I mean the fluid will be over here, right? So this is the pressure of the chest. Okay. So all right. So this particular thing is at a lower pressure of 32.4 kPa. All right. To heat it, we will be using steam, that too saturated. And now let me just go back to the chart and let's take this value. All right. So to heat it, I am now using steam at 1.7 bar. All right. Now what I want you to calculate is I have tubes. Okay, I want you to calculate the number of tubes required. I know that the length of the tube is 1.5 meters, some standard lengths, and I am going to use 0.0254 meter diameter, inner diameter of the tubes. So we have already used these tubes in designing our shell and tube heat exchanger as well. So I am going for the same dimensions and a length near to that. All right. For this particular salt water mixture, let's say the CP value is not 4.18 but 3.96 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. All right. Now calculating U. Okay, we all know that we'll be using Q is equal to UA times delta T. Calculating U is not so straightforward, and a lot of empirical equations are used, and hence it's not a part of chemical engineering syllabus. They say you have already tried doing this exercise in heat exchangers, so most of the times they give you a value of U, or the same procedure is actually observed over there as well. Like you started with guessing a U, and then the whole setup is same. So to make the problem simple, I am directly giving out the value of U to be around say 2100 kilocalories per hour meter square degree Celsius. Alright, now what I want you to find out is the number of tubes. Alright, so breaking out this problem, so in this particular problem, U is given, Q is something that you can find out because I have given you the feed flow rate, right? And by mass balances you can find out the amount to be evaporated, and then you can find out the value of Q. U has been given, so using Q is equal to UA times delta T. Delta T is known, so basically you will try to find out the area. Once area is known, you know A for one tube, so you can find hash of tubes. This is the approach in the problem. Is this particular approach understood? Is the problem clear to you? Yes, no? Is the design problem clear, or should I repeat it again? Kaushik, are you raising your hand for repeating it, or is it clear to you?
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, great. What about others? Is the problem clear, guys? I have tried to frame out a problem, okay, for doing a heat for doing some heat evaporator calculation. All right, and I'm trying to represent. It's a representative problem. All right, so yeah, Sai, Chetan, Praneet, is the problem clear to you, or should I repeat it? Okay, everyone is raising hand, but still I will just give a short what I can say. मैं एक और बार उसको रिव्यू कर देता रिकैप कर देता हूँ. हमें एक सॉल्यूशन को 10% से 40% में कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना है. द सॉल्यूशन इज फेड एट 2000 kg per hour, okay, and the feed is at 30 degrees Celsius, and it is fed to the evaporator at 32.4 kilopascals. Okay, मतलब एक कम प्रेशर पे. All right, what is the pressure of atmosphere? Atmospheric pressure कितना होता है? प्रेशर कितना होता है? Anyone?
180 m.
किलो पास्कल्स में बताओ. 101.3, 101.325.
Yes, sir.
And we are now putting it at a vacuum, a pressure less than that. All right, so boiling point will not be 100 degrees Celsius, it will be something different, right? Rather it would be a lesser value compared to 100 degrees Celsius. All right, then to heat it we are going to use steam, at saturated steam at 1.7 bar, and what we are expected to calculate is the number of tubes required, whose dimensions are 1.5 meter length and inner diameter of 0.0254. Okay, so for doing this, what I start off with is Q is equal to UA times delta T. Okay, the delta T will be the temperature of the steam minus the boiling point of your feed, right? U is given to you. A we will find out. Q we can independently find out by doing energy balance. Okay, and then once I know the A, I know the area of one tube, so I can find out the total number of tubes. All right, so now the problem starts with material balance. To solve this, the first step is our material balance. So guys, take up your pen paper and do the material balance over it. At the same time, I'm also working out the problem with you, so you guys can also start doing the material balance with me. Okay, the target of doing the material balance is trying to know the unknown values of the flow rates. So can simply write feed at the rate Celsius flow rate 2000 kg per hour, which is having 10% of some solid. That implies it will have 18 10% of 20,000, 2,000 is 200, so 1800 kg water. Alright. This stream has 40% of solids, right? 40% of solids, so this particular thing had 200 kg solids, so this will also have 200 kg solids, and 200 kg is 40%, so 100 kg is 20%, so 60% will be 300 kg, so it will have 300 kg of water. We had 1800 kg of water in the feed, so and 300 kg is going here, so 1500 kg of water is getting evaporated out. Okay, this is the material balance for the feed. Let me just cross check. 2000 kg per hour. Oops, 2000 kg per hour. Kg per hour. Per hour. 2000 बटन plus 100 200 सॉलिड इधर से उधर जाएगा, बचा हुआ 1800 है. 200 kg उधर 40% होता है, तो 10% तो 20% 100 होगा, 20% 100 होगा, तो 60% 3 times 300 हो जाएगा. ओके, 1800 300 उधर 1500 जाएगा. ओके, yeah. So after applying the energy balance on the feed, you should get out the values like this. So if you are getting some different value, please unmute and let me know. And if you are getting this the same values, a quick thumbs up, guys. Then we'll move to the energy balance. Resume recording. Alright, so everyone is done with the mass balancing. Now we also know the rate at which the water is being evaporated. Now the next target is to find out the temperature at which it has to boil, and also to find out the temperature of the steam. So we will go back to our old friend, the steam table. Alright, so I gave you 0.33 as the value. So for 0.33 the boiling temperature is around 75 degrees Celsius. 0.33 here it's in bar, so 32 by 101.3 is what you need to do. So 32 divided by 101.3 is 0.315, so something like 0.32. Alright, and 0.315, 0.32 is somewhere over here. So I can now take the value to be around 72 degrees Celsius, right? Some value in between these two, so I can take it as 72 degrees Celsius. It's safe enough to take it as 72 degrees Celsius. Alright, so this has to be at 72 degrees Celsius. This will be also going out at 72 degrees Celsius. Alright, now I have given you that the steam is at 1.7 bars, right? So we'll be going forward. 1.7 bar is over here. Its temperature is 115.2. For calculations we'll take 115. कोई ज़्यादा बड़ा आफत नहीं आ रहा, हम just We are trying to understand the things over here as of now. Okay, and for that same thing, going forward. All right. So now, any one of you, what is the value of HFG or the lambda FG that we will be requiring? Yes, in this particular table. Yeah. So what is the value of lambda Fg that will be requiring? The steam is at 1.7 bar, meaning that its temperature is 115.2 degrees Celsius. What is the latent heat of this particular steam from this table? Please calculate and let me know so that we can proceed further. Yes, anyone? Can you find out the value of latent heat of steam? To 1.5. Yeah, correct. 2 to 1.57 for this particular steam. Okay, now let's see what all we have and what is that we need to do. What we need to do is find out the value of Q, the amount of heat that has been exchanged, correct? So for that, what I will do is, what we have to do is, we have to write in the energy balance equation at least for one sec. Okay, so we'll start off with the energy that is coming in, the energy that is going out, and the difference between the energy that is coming in and going out is the energy that has to be provided by the steam. So we'll have energy in minus energy out. This has to be equal to the energy, and this is a y, okay, given by your steam. Okay, is everyone okay with the energy balance? A quick raise of hands or thumbs up, anything is fine. Yeah, okay, great. So what is the energy that is coming in? Okay, so we have we can now take either one of the cases. Okay, हम एनर्जी बैलेंस के लिए दो में से एक चीज़ कर सकते हैं. अब हमारे पास सारे फ्लो रेट्स पता है हमें विद रेफरेंस टू द सॉल्यूशन. हमें सॉल्यूशन के सारे फ्लो रेट्स पता है, किस फ्लो रेट से सॉल्यूशन अंदर आ रहा है, राइट, किस फ्लो रेट से उससे वेपर्स जा रहे हैं, किस फ्लो रेट से उसका कॉन्सेंट्रेशन जा रहा है. तो हम एनर्जी इन लेंगे इसकी, द एनर्जी दैट इज कमिंग इन विद दिस. ऑल राइट, एंड व्हाट इज द एनर्जी दैट इज गोइंग आउट is the energy that is leaving with this particular two streams. And इनके इसमें जितना भी एनर्जी का चेंज आया है, this change has to be done by this. इसमें क्या होगा, m times lambda. तो m lambda is equal to q is equal to the delta E in this streams, correct? I hope everyone is okay with that. ऑल राइट, किसी को कोई डाउट हो तो प्लीज़ 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 रेज योर हैंड्स एंड कैन आस्क इट. ओके, कोई डाउट नहीं. अब देखो, हमको डेल्टा ई निकालना है, चेंज इन एनर्जी डिफरेंस, राइट. तो मैं एक रेफरेंस स्टेट ले लेता हूँ चीज़ें आसान करने के लिए. मैं क्या बोलता हूँ, आई विल टेक दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग एज द रेफरेंस स्टेट. मतलब मैं मानता हूँ कि इसकी एनर्जी ज़ीरो है आर्बिट्रीली, एंड मैं इससे इधर तक जाने के लिए कितनी एनर्जी लग रही है और इससे इधर तक जाने के लिए कितनी एनर्जी लग रही है, मैं उतनी कैलकुलेट कर लूँगा, समथिंग लाइक दैट. इज इट क्लियर? ओके, ग्रेट जॉब. सो व्हाट आई नाउ ट्राई टू डू इज, मैं आपको मतलब एनर्जी कैलकुलेशन सिखा रहा हूँ, ये आपको आगे भी काफ़ी जगह काम आएंगे. ऑल राइट. सो नाउ आई हैव फीड, मतलब मैं थोड़ा सा अलग टाइप से करके दिखा रहा हूँ, बट आपको मतलब जल्दी समझ में आएगा. सो नाउ आई हैव फीड विच इज़ हैविंग 200 kg solid, 1800 kg water. This particular stream is at 30 degrees Celsius, of which in the outlet, so this is in, okay, this is in, of which 1500 kg, okay guys, is going into steam, and 200 is going here, and with it 300 is going here. Alright, यहाँ तक सब कुछ क्लियर है? ऑलराइट. सो अब मुझे बताओ स्टीम का टेम्परेचर क्या होगा. ये 1500 kg स्टीम का टेम्परेचर क्या होगा, 1500 kg स्टीम का टेम्परेचर क्या होगा? एनीवन? 72, करेक्ट, वेरी गुड, 72. एनी किसी और को डाउट है? किसी और को डाउट है इसमें? नहीं. ओके, ग्रेट. दिस हैज़ टू बी 72 डिग्री सेल्सियस. इधर का भी टेम्परेचर होगा 72 डिग्री सेल्सियस. अब यहाँ से यहाँ तक जाने के लिए मुझे कितनी हीट लगेगी? If I take the feed at 20 kg, 200 kg, this as the basis, okay, मतलब I want to go from here to here, like from the feed to the liquid side, 200 और 300 का जो मिक्स कॉन्सेंट्रेट है, तो वहाँ से वहाँ तक मुझे कितनी एनर्जी का डिफरेंस आएगा? I can simply now say कि इस 1800 को मैं simply split out कर देता हूँ, 1500 plus 300, and what I say is, ये जो लाल में मैंने गोले किए हैं उनको mcp डेल्टा टी एनर्जी चेंज आया इन माइनस आउट में, एंड ये जो मैं इसको ग्रीन कर देता हूँ, ये जो है इसमें mcp डेल्टा टी प्लस लैम्डा एफ जी का डिफरेंस है. लैम्डा एफ जी फॉर हीटिंग it to this particular case. Is it clear? So ideally what I have to do is 2000 kg per hour times cp value जो मैंने कितनी दी, 3.96, which is kilojoule per kg Kelvin, times delta T, and then let's go back over here in the steam table. Go for 72 degrees Celsius, 2327.2, I guess, 2327.2. Yeah, and now calculate this value and let me know what it is coming out to be. So you can take any random reference state. Okay, you take a reference state. मैं इसके कंपैरिजन में बोलूँगा. ऑलराइट, सो यू हैव समथिंग दैट इज कमिंग इन. ओके, तो इसकी एनर्जी इधर आ रही है उसके कंपैरिजन में. ऑलराइट, so this is your field. Alright, then there is some energy associated with your steam. At this is your steam which is going out at the rate of 15,000 kg per hour at 72 degrees Celsius. 72. Then there will be your feed, concentrated. This is your concentrated product. This is at 72 degrees Celsius. So I take a reference state of say 25 डिग्री सेल्सियस एंड नाउ आई ट्राई टू कैलकुलेट एनर्जी. सो फीड की एनर्जी यहाँ से यहाँ आई कुछ E1. ओके, कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड प्रोडक्ट की एनर्जी यहाँ से यहाँ आई E2. ये एनर्जी यहाँ से यहाँ आई E3. ओके, व्हेन आई से एनर्जी इन माइनस एनर्जी आउट इज द एनर्जी प्रोवाइडेड बाय द स्टीम or the delta is the energy provided by the steam. What I am doing is, now you just see the lengths that I am adding. I am adding these lengths, correct, and subtracting this length, correct. And now you just have कि ये values. Okay, values to it, add values to it. Okay, ये इनके वैल्यूज देखो. अब देखो मैं इनको पर यूनिट मास कर देता हूँ. ऑल राइट, लेट्स से ऑल दीज वैल्यूज आर पर यूनिट मास. सो नाउ इसका मास है 1500. सो इट हैज़ टू बी मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 1500. इट हैज़ टू बी मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 500. इट हैज़ टू बी मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 2000. ओके, नाउ दिस E3 एसेंशियली इज अगेन व्हाट वी हैड डिस्कस्ड कि उसको वाटर है, वाटर को उसके बॉइलिंग पॉइंट तक हीट करना है, फिर उसको लैम्डा प्रोवाइड करना है तो स्टीम मिलेगा, करेक्ट. देन बेसिकली दिस इज MCP डेल्टा टी, वेयर डेल्टा टी इज 72 माइनस योर रेफरेंस स्टेट का टेम्परेचर प्लस द m टाइम्स लैम्डा, करेक्ट. नाउ व्हाट इज दिस E2 is simply MCP डेल्टा टी, वेयर m इधर 1500 था, इधर m 500 है. डेल्टा टी दोनों का सेम है, इधर का और इधर का. इसमें m लैम्डा लगानी है. एंड व्हाट इज E1? 2000 टाइम्स 72 माइनस RS. तो कुछ भी करो, ठीक है, कुछ भी कर लो. आप रैंडम रेफरेंस स्टेट लो, 25 डिग्री की सेल्सियस की जगह इसको 0 लेके जाओ. आइडियली आइडिया विल बी वॉट एवर यू आर डूइंग इट, the answer will come out to be same. So instead I said let me take this itself as the reference state. मैं इसी को रेफरेंस स्टेट बनाता हूँ. तो क्या हो गया, मुझे सीधा this प्लस this करना है और वो मैंने ऐसे निकाल लिया. एंड this प्लस m lambda of the steam at 105 degree Celsius has to be 0, correct. Or I can just put it over here and I can say m lambda is equal to this minus m lambda is equal to this, or I can then say m lambda is equal to 2000 into 3.96 times 72 minus 30, which is 42, plus 1500 into 2372.2. all this are in kilojoules per hour. Is it clear how energy calculations are done? ये आई डोंट नो और कहाँ कहाँ पे आता है, बट ये बहुत जगह आता है रेफरेंस स्टेट लेके कैलकुलेशंस करने का कॉन्सेप्ट. ओके, आई गेस आप लोग केमिकल प्रोसेस इक्विपमेंट डिज़ाइन कोर्स पढ़ने वाले हो बहुत ही जल्द. उसमें आपको बॉयलर्स आएंगे एंड देन आपको स्टीम टेबल का उधर बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ आता है. एक प्लांट यूटिलिटी का भी सब्जेक्ट होता है, उसमें भी आपको ये सारे कैलकुलेशंस करने पड़ते हैं कि स्टीम इज़ यूज टू हीट समथिंग एंड यू नीड टू डू ऑल सच कैलकुलेशंस वेर इन हीट एक्सचेंजेस आर टेकिंग प्लेस. तो आपको उन सारे एनर्जी बैलेंसेस में यू हैव टू इनकॉर्पोरेट दिस आइडिया ऑफ हैविंग of choosing a good reference state. And if I'm not mistaken, in your course of chemical process calculations, उसमें भी आपको एनर्जी बैलेंसेस में रेफरेंस स्टेट सिखाया गया होगा, यस और नो? So we are just applying it, and I am trying to show you various ways of how to understand that particular concept of reference state and how it's used. Yes, Kiran. Sai, you are not audible. Or maybe this time Chetan or Rutuja, are you understanding the concept? Okay, Rutuja is saying yes. Energy balance की concept समझ में आई क्या in specific? You can unmute and ask. Vapor and constant का CP will be different now. वेपर का CP आ ही नहीं रहा है ना साई किरण. वेपर को थोड़ी ना हम सुपर हीट कर रहे हैं, हम उसको 72 डिग्री सेल्सियस तक हीट कर रहे हैं, बट वो सॉल्यूशन था इसीलिए मैंने सॉल्यूशन का CP यूज़ कर लिया डायरेक्टली, क्योंकि हमें इंडिविजुअली वाटर और सॉलिड का CP नहीं पता है. तो अगेन यू कैन ट्राई टू डूइंग दिस एक्सरसाइज ऑल्सो. I can give you CP of solid, I can give you CP of liquid. Okay, CP of solution आप उसके ratios में कर लो, and then you can also try doing it. आप you're just trying to break that thing into many multiple steps. Okay, so you can always go back and do it. Like CP of water is say 4.2. I can just go back and calculate and give you the CP of solids individually. आप then वहाँ से start करो. आप reference state में लो water at 25 degrees Celsius and solid at 25 degrees Celsius. Start doing the calculations, you will get to the same value. Here what I said is taking the feed into picture. I am now removing the idea of requiring these values explicitly. I am now trying to use the values that are provided to me. Like मुझे तो what I am saying is यहाँ से यहाँ जाने के लिए मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, I take the solution, I heat it to 72 degrees Celsius. After heating it to 72 degrees Celsius, I provide 1500 times lambda value to make steam at 72 degrees Celsius, which is of 1500 kg. And जो यहाँ पे बचा था वो ऐसे कैसे रहेगा, which will be your, and now what will be left here is concentrated product. Okay, at 72 degrees Celsius. Here there is one assumption which says heat of solution is equal to 0. Okay, heat of solution is 0, that's it. There is just one assumption in it. अगर heat of solution 0 नहीं होगी तो आपको वो एक पर्टिकुलर चीज़ ऐड करनी होगी. जैसे कुछ सॉल्ट्स को वाटर में जब उनका कॉन्सेंट्रेशन बढ़ता है तो वो सॉल्यूशन को ठंडा करती है, तो देयर विल बी सम माइनस टर्म एडेड ओवर हियर. कुछ सॉल्ट्स को जैसे एसिड्स को तुम वाटर में डाइल्यूट करने लग जाते हो तो वो हीट देने लग जाते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा हीट आउट करने लग जाते हैं. ओके, जैसे H2SO4 को पानी में डालो थोड़ा थोड़ा सा, वो कितना हीट करने लग जाता है, राइट? H2SO4 इन वाटर, you try to increase the concentration of H2SO4 in water, it heats. In fact, the water starts boiling in very small time. So तब वहाँ पे आपको एक कुछ प्लस साइन, कुछ प्लस वैल्यू ऐड करनी होगी, तो दैट इज द हीट ऑफ सॉल्यूशन. ओके, वी आर अज्यूमिंग दैट हीट ऑफ सॉल्यूशन इज 0. ओके, सो आई होप दिस एनर्जी बैलेंस कॉन्सेप्ट इज नाउ प्रिटी मच क्लियर. सो इसीलिए प्रॉब्लम में पहले ये देखो कि आपको क्या क्या वैल्यूज दी गई है, एंड देन यूज दोज वैल्यूज to proceed and get the correct energy balance. I mean energy balance आप कहीं से भी start कर सकते हो, you will always land up in the same answer until and unless जितने भी मैंने constants आपको दे रखे हैं वो सारे सही है. पता चला मैंने random values आपको फेंक दी है कुछ भी 3.9, 4.2, 4.1 एंड आप बिल्कुल ग्राउंड से कैलकुलेट करना स्टार्ट करो तो हो सकता है वैल्यूज़ में डिफरेंस है क्योंकि मैंने कॉन्स्टेंट्स आपको अलग प्रोवाइड किए थे. बट अगर मैंने सारे कॉन्स्टेंट्स को एग्जैक्टली कैलकुलेट किया एंड यू आर ऑल्सो यूजिंग द सेम वैल्यूज़, तो आप किसी भी रेफरेंस स्टेट से स्टार्ट करो, यू विल बी रीचिंग टू द सेम आंसर इन द एनर्जी बैलेंस. ओके, आई होप दिस पॉइंट इज़ वेरी मच क्लियर टू यू. नाउ moving forward in the problem, you basically apply that and what you will get is that m times lambda or energy by steam equals some big value. So can anyone calculate that value and tell it to me? uh, are you getting this particular value, something like this, in the order of this? Yes, anyone? All right, so let me just quickly say what all calculations we are doing. So yeah, so we calculated the energy that is provided by the steam, or we calculated basically the heat exchange duty Q in kilojoule per second. We know the value of U, but it was slightly in different unit. It was in kilocalories per hour, so I tried to convert it into kilojoules per second, and I used Q is equal to UA delta T to find out the value of total area, which came out to be 10.3 meters square. Alright, now I know that n pi dl, n is the total number of tubes, pi into diameter of the tube into length of the tube, has to be equal to 10.3 meters square, and using that I will find out the number of tubes, which will come out to be around 40 tubes. Divided by pi 1.5 divided by 0.0. Yeah, 0 test time 0.0254. Yeah, it's coming out to be around 10. Yeah, anyone who is through with the calculations? Any doubts in the calculation? Yeah, anyone? Or is it coming out to be 80 point something? Let me just cross check my value. 10.3 over 3.14 divided by 1.5 divided by 2.54. Yeah, it has to be 86. My bad. Somewhere around 86, or we can say some value close to 90 will be the answer. I mean, the idea was not to get the number and solve it. We will be doing that when we see previous year gate questions and all. The idea here was to understand how to take reference state, how to do energy balances, how to do mass balance, and one more bit that I didn't put in this particular question is how to calculate was to calculate the mass of steam, but that was sacrosanct, that was already coming in the way. So Alright, this is all we need to do, and this is how a problem on designing of a single effect evaporator is done. And with this I conclude today's lecture. Thank you.